also worked for 20 years in the NICU.
It's like we have so many patient emergencies, but you don't have the manpower that we used to have to handle that. And if you're only one person, you can only do so much.
Alice Worth, KCBS.
Sutter Health issued a statement Sunday night saying it has been negotiating in good faith. It accuses union leadership of putting politics above patients. Sutter says it remains focused on providing safe, high-quality care and that Alta Base will remain open and fully operational even if there is a strike later this morning. California has a commitment to climate action going back decades. KCBS's Margie Schaefer reports from San Francisco as policies are adopted by the state. Other states and countries have been known to follow suit.
California was the first state in the nation to establish tailpipe emission standards. That year was 1966.
For decades, California has set the gold standard for aggressive efforts to curb pollution and fight climate change.
Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis says others take notice.
In 2018, when California said it was going to achieve carbon neutrality and produce 100% carbon-free electricity by 2045, a wave of states and countries around the world made similar goals.
And now?
By 2035, all new cars sold in California will be zero-emission vehicles.
New York, Washington, and Massachusetts are set to follow, and companies like Ford and General Motors have joined the effort too. The remarks were made as Kounalakis welcomed Vice President Kamala Harris to San Francisco earlier this week. In San Francisco, Margie Schaefer, KCBS.
Just ahead on KCBS, Governor Newsom and his Republican challenger meet in their only debate. Time for a check of the roads. We go back to the KCBS Traffic Center and Frank Munich.
We're going to go out to the roadways and look at a problem in Vallejo where we have had an accident reported there on eastbound 80 just before Georgia Street. We have a tow truck heading toward the scene if it's not there already. We had an accident which at one point was blocking 2 lanes there. It's a bit blustery this morning, at least in one part of the Bay Area, and that would be the Altamont Pass, where we have a high wind advisory which has just gone up, although wind is present. Fog really is not a factor, at least not in terms of any sort of weather advisories. We have a pretty clear picture from our traffic camera trained at the Golden Gate Bridge tolls in terms of fog. You can actually make out both the north and the south towers of the span. Not always true during some mornings over the past couple of months. Your next update at 12:18 on the traffic leader KCBS. Clear and cool overnight, lows mostly in the low to mid 40s, though we could see some 30s in the North Bay and parts of the East Bay. It'll be a sunny Monday, very clear skies, no wildfire smoke or any of that sort of thing as we've had in recent years. Highs later today, mid-60s to mid-70s. Traffic and weather together on the 8th on All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS.
What's up, everybody? Guess who's hosting a new podcast? No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith. Listen as I pull back the curtain on everything beyond the world of sports. Interviewing influential guests, outspoken celebrities, and thought leaders across the political, financial, and social spectrum. You know me. I'll give you my unbiased opinion. A No Mercy episode drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith, a presentation of Cadence 13 and Odyssey Studio, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcast.
KCBS News Time, 12:10. Governor Gavin Newsom and his Republican opponent, State Senator Brian Dahle, debated Sunday. The debate on KQED had some hotly contested moments, including their exchange over the fentanyl crisis when Senator Dolly said he would declare a state of emergency to combat the deadly drug.
What does state emergency do? I want to understand.
It would focus on the fact that fentanyl is an issue in California. People on the streets are addicted. We need to get them off of drugs. That's the first thing you do to get them on the projection out, is get them off of drugs. Fund the counties with the mental health programs that they need and the clinicians, and then drive down the cost of housing in California.
Governor Newsom countered, pointing out Dolly's previous opposition to the state's spending to combat fentanyl and on housing problems.
You consistently oppose them.
Is housing a big thing now?
Somehow a state of emergency, and then we're going to magically solve fentanyl. That's what my opponent just said. Somehow magically will disappear on the basis of a state of emergency. That somehow he will adopt a secret strategy.
It was the only gubernatorial debate scheduled ahead of next month's election. And I say next month's election, people can actually vote now if they want by mailing in their ballots. We all know the Bay Area is an expensive place to live, but it turns out one of its cities takes the cake. KCBS's Keith Manconi reports.
A national survey stacked up the country's 50 largest cities to find out which residents are shouldering the biggest bills. Out of everywhere in the country, San Jose came out on top, largely due to sky-high rents that outpace San Francisco and even New York. And residents are feeling the squeeze.
Absolutely, yes.
Like college student Jack Rogers, who says the financial burden could push him to leave town entirely.
San Jose, as I enter more into adulthood, seems to be terrifying in that regard. So I think moving out would be a beneficial decision.
Meantime, though, inflation is pushing up costs just about everywhere, says Liz Powell, who oversaw the report.
Overall, in the United States, there's been about a 6% increase across the board. So these bills are getting more expensive.
The report also found that SJ residents are actually spending a bit less on mobile phone and internet bills. So one slim silver lining. In San Jose, Keith Manconi, KCBS.
Police in Concord are investigating a shooting that occurred just about 2 hours ago, injuring 2 people. Police say it happened after 10 p.m. on Virginia Lane. The conditions of the victims are not known. They were rushed by paramedics to John Muir Hospital. The shooter sped away in a 4-door car and has not been seen. As we get more details on this shooting that occurred again about 2 hours ago in Concord, we will pass them along to you. KCBS News Time, 12:14. We'll have an early morning look at sports in just 60 seconds.
The following is a paid commercial announcement. Were you abused by a priest or clergy member? You're not alone, and we can help you hold the church accountable, regardless of your age, and even if your abuser is no longer working or even living. Thousands of victims have filed claims and been awarded significant compensation, but the deadline is quickly approaching, so call Stop Clergy Abuse right now. Your call is free, private, and confidential. Even if you don't remember the abuser's name, we may be able to help, but time is limited, so call now. Catholic dioceses have paid more than $3 billion to victims, with the average national settlement at $268,000. In parts of California, the settlements are much higher. Call 855-43-ABUSE now, or soon you may forever lose your chance to file a claim. You can't change the past, but you can be compensated for it. Call 855-43-ABUSE. A representative is standing by to help. Call 855-43-ABUSE. That's 855-43-ABUSE.
Coming up on KCBS,
I'm Jeffrey Schaub. Tim McGraw and Guy Fieri hold a Napa Valley fundraiser for disabled veterans.
KCBS News Time is 12:15. Time now for sports. Football, 49ers lost to Kansas City. Lost to Kansas City at Levi's Stadium Sunday, 44-23. NBA play, Warriors over the Kings at Chase Center Sunday night, 130-125. Playoff baseball, they may have finished third in their division, but the Philadelphia Phillies are headed to the World Series. After finishing off San Diego Sunday 4-3, they will play the Houston Astros, who won at New York 6-5 to complete a 4-game sweep of the Yankees on Sunday night. With more sports, here's KCBS's Victor Zaragoza.
Last year, before the NBA season started, there was a man who predicted that the Golden State Warriors would win it all. And he reminded everyone before the season started this year, and also has a prediction. Stephen A. Smith on ESPN.
As the guy that picked the Golden State Warriors to win it all last year before the season, and I was absolutely right. The day after they won the chip, I went and looked into the camera in Boston, and I said,